Happy Friday. We're here in the podcast studio and it's time to talk solar and battery news. It's nearly Christmas, but not quite. So let's check out this week's news. So next story this week is battery news. There's quite a lot of news this week around batteries. So the UK governments have just supported just under £1 billion worth of funding towards the UK battery manufacturing facility scene. So
It's pretty big.
yeah, it's what we need though, isn't it?
It is.
You know, it's we know the benefits of batteries and the importance it's going to be towards the net zero economy.
And the stabilisation of our national grid,
Absolutely,
which
yeah.
is under massive constant pressure for development and sort of improvements and stuff. And that sort of whole large scale sort of battery deployment. And the small scale as well, from an aggregation standpoint, from all the small household batteries, it's all very relevant. I think the key is to bring manufacturing in house, isn't it? That's
I think
what's
absolutely. I mean, it'd be nice if the UK had some lithium supply somewhere they could extract.
Yeah,
But,
instead of being reliant on the Chinese monopoly.
Yeah. It's but I think the idea is the batteries. It's not just for solar. It's for electric cars. It's for a range of different. How many things use batteries now?
Yeah.
You don't realise how much.
Device.
Yeah. Almost everything, isn't there?
Yeah.
Toothbrush. Do you know what I mean? Everything's lithium, isn't it? So,
Yeah.
and another interesting story around batteries is Panasonic down in South Wales. So it's their microwave oven factory.
Yeah.
Are investing 113 million over 2 years.
It's a big number.
It's a big number into, I think it's 100 mega. 100. Let me check my numbers.
120 kilowatt hydrogen.
So yeah, we've got the company will combine 21 of its own hydrogen fuel cell generators. That's 21.
Yeah.
A total output of 105 kilowatt.
Yeah.
With 290 kilowatt of PV.
Yeah.
And a megawatt hour of storage.
Nice.
So for 113 million.
Obviously.
Those generators must be pretty expensive, Neil.
There's a large portion of that cost is definitely in that hydrogen. But I mean, I think the key here is that's their Welsh site, right?
Yeah.
That's brilliant news for Wales because that's a groundbreaking project.
It is, yeah.
That
Hydrogen
really
generators.
Yeah,
wow.
I mean, hydrogen is coming. It's been kind of been talking about, and hydrogen's the future and all this kind of stuff, and for that sort of zero emission kind of solution. But it's got a lot of ground to cover before it becomes, financially practical to install for the average business and things like that. But
they sound like domestic level hydrogen fuel generators because there's 21 in total generating 105
kilowatts each. Yeah. Well, it's 5 kilowatts each. Yeah.
They're domestic level boilers.
Wow.
So that's going to take up some space.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You need a building for that.
Building. That's where the 130 million comes in.
Maybe a good chunk of it's going to come from. It's key though, isn't it? I mean, the fact is that they're deploying that technology. I mean, that's so exciting. But funny enough, they're deploying it with solar because that's free sunshine. Battery storage to balance the power generation and consumption within the plant, and the hydrogen to break the ground on that technology and make that landmark project.
It's going to be a fantastic project to see, and I'm hoping I might suggest it actually to Ashley from the North Wales Net Zero group.
Yes,
is whether when it's done in a few years' time we get a visit there.
100%.
It'd be a fantastic Net Zero ambassador visit to that Panasonic factory. That'd be fantastic.
Well, that Net Zero do like to visit those key sites, don't
Absolutely,
they?
yeah. It's to see the latest innovation within the industry.
Yeah.
So
sustainability measures and people doing stuff. In
fantastic.
That sustainability sector,
Yeah.
Exciting.
Let's look at the next story. So the next story we've got is the UK risks becoming too reliant on China for solar supply. I mean, this has been coming.
Yeah, of course.
We know, and we've installed European-made products before.
Yeah.
But they've always historically been more
expensive.
Yeah. But we've had those customers actually pay more for it. That's another conversation. But
That's just purchasing preferences.
Yeah, it is scary to think that. I think there's some statistics I got here. 60 to 80% of the market share, in just on the polysilicon, silicon wafers, and silicon cells.
Yeah.
The Chinese have got.
Yeah.
There's another statistic on this page. In the mineral processing supply chain, taking up a staggering 80 to 100% of the market share.
Wow.
Another supply chain is rare earth, which are often used to manufacture permanent magnets in wind turbines, electric vehicles, etc. So, we know the Chinese have been, leading the way in this, haven't they? And to be fair, though, to the Chinese, they've put an awful lot of money into R&D, haven't they?
They have. Their agenda for a very long time is market dominance. We're beholden to that, aren't we, as a nation? And ultimately, that leads to the ability to manufacture power, which is pretty pivotal to any kind of economy in the world. And if we're subject to an economy, subject to a monopoly or a monopolized product as a country, that doesn't stand us too strong in sort of choices moving forward as a nation. So it's a scary prospect. That's off the Chinese, but and some of the it's the same as anything, isn't it? We all kind of say, oh, it's made in China, but good stuff's made in China, bad stuff's made in China.
Yeah.
So that selecting that and being careful. But how do we overcome this as a country? I'm not entirely sure what the answer to that is, because I don't think we've got great stores of lithium or silicon.
No,
about the UK, but
I think at the moment, for anyone who doesn't know, obviously for any of our guests watching today, is right now in the UK there's a massive oversupply of panels.
Yes, there is.
And I remember when we went over to Munich to Wintersolar. If anyone hasn't been to Wintersolar, it's a mega show, isn't it?
Yes, brilliant.
Absolutely huge. But we were chatting to Sharp there, weren't we? And they were telling us at the moment that on the back end of COVID, the Chinese were locked down. Yeah. They were still manufacturing. They created a massive stockpile of equipment, and not just in the solar sector, in all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And we've now in a situation where we're flooding the markets with an awful lot of cheap stuff.
Yep.
But it's a bit of a fictitious low, isn't it? So
we've seen a false low, exactly that, and it's quite a big difference, isn't it? And it's number one, great prices come down from an infrastructure and deployment cost, but at the end of the day, those prices are going to go up at some point. And
but it's a fantastic time to buy.
It's perfect.
It's
the same thing happened. We were talking about it in one of our previous podcasts. Yeah. When the feed-in tariffs in the UK hit that little clever window between sort of 1st of Jan 2012 and end of March, whenever it was 2012, when the Chinese had flooded the market with panels again, crashed the prices of the panels so they could force the European retailers out of the market or make a mark on that. And they did a good job of it, because we saw a couple of European manufacturers leave the market very soon after that, because it was becoming a non-competitive market for them, or they couldn't compete. And the Chinese took, they made a serious mark in the solar market right then, and have continued to do so. And it looks like that dominant strategy is paying for them, because at the minute, an 80% share and a 60% share of the market worldwide. That's huge.
Staggering.
Yeah, staggering. Yeah, but I mean, for every homeowner and business owner in the country, we're about to see a price rise in the cost of power. We've got a slump in the cost of infrastructure deployment.
Exactly.
It couldn't be a better time for a business case to install some solar panels and get control and just ring fence yourself from what's going on with the economic side of things.
And this is why we want to do these podcasts. We want to share the knowledge. We want to share the educate. We want to educate our listeners and viewers into what's happening now in real time in the industry, because if you get Joe Blogs round, you pick up you go on to Google and you want solar panels, you're going to get some company, some guy coming round. Is it BS? What's he telling you? You just don't know.
Fact check? How'd you fact check that?
Exactly. What we're trying to give people is real time information. And that's something we were being passionate about when we set up these podcasts, and giving people that real information, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
In
go-to point.
Yeah, 100%. We
and some untruths.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's move on to our final story of the day. This is the last story for this week.
Yep.
So it's the autumn statement. So it's been big news. It's been all over the news. Been everywhere, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
But there's been some specific parts specific to our sector.
Yeah, 100%.
So we've now got back the enhanced capital allowances as we used to call it.
Yeah, the tax benefits.
Yeah, the tax benefits to business investing are now back.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
So
now it's now being labelled, instead of super enhanced capital allowances, which is where it was 130% capital write down at the end of year one, which is a massive benefit for businesses, has now been replaced with full expensing, which means that the full maintenance and installation costs of a project can be offset, and it is exempt from the 45% windfall tax, falling under the electricity generator levy and labelled as an extraordinary returns, which means that capital investment in solar is an attractive proposition.
It is.
The accountants are going to love this stuff.
Well, in the end, if it helps a business pay less corporation tax because they're investing in their business, reducing their carbon footprint, saving energy bills, protecting jobs, it's a win for everyone, isn't it?
It is. It takes all those blocks out of the process that we've been seeing getting dropped on the solar industry, which is just madness when we're trying to hit a net zero target. It's really exciting to see that things are happening to try and move things forward, because you and I have always said, if you fill the rooftops in the country with a load of solar panels, you're going to get rid of an awful lot of the issues that we face as far as energy supply and distribution and things on the national grid, take all that pressure off the grid and things like that. So just to see the government making these steps it's
encouraging.
Yeah,
it's encouraging.
It's exciting.
So we've touched on this already, but we'll just recap on it. Obviously, the government is now speeding up the planning process.
Yes,
I think I was reading they're taking the large infrastructure projects. Is it critical? Is it critical?
A critical
national priority.
Critical national priority for projects that are 50 megawatts
That's
and above.
It. So, what's great is they're taking it away from local planners.
Yep.
Which can cause problems, and at a local level, it's now been shifted up the chain to national government,
given priority status.
Well, yeah, as it says, it's a critical national priority.
Yeah.
The UK needs more power.
Yeah.
So
we take some of that low-level bureaucracy
100%
out of the equation.
So that's a massive welcome, and I think where I'd like to see things going forward from a planning point of view is a bit of a relook at some of the planning around solar in general on smaller and on commercial projects. This whole meter rule is a load of BS.
Yeah,
it's a load of BS. It's like, why, and I've tried to challenge it before, and nobody's got the answer.
No,
it's I get that we need to have a gap from the edge of the roof. Get it, like for MCS purposes,
etc. Yeah.
But why we need a meter on a commercial roof? It just doesn't make sense.
If you've got a massive commercial roof, a meter from the edge has a very big impact. On the actual deployment of power. The amount of panels that you can deploy to deliver the power that you need has a big impact.
But what it does, though, Neil, is it slows down the deployment of the system, because then they've got to go to planning.
Yes.
Which puts 3 months in the project.
Exactly.
And I think that's the issue, isn't it?
And it puts you back in that localized level again.
And you've got, and the thing is, there's more than likely you're going to get planning for it.
Yeah.
Anyway. But so planning needs to improve still, doesn't it?
It does, and it's always been a bit of a historical blocker. I mean, we look at other technologies and we've sort of almost strayed away from them a little bit because of the issues at the planning stage. And there are talks, for sort of like some wind onshore and things, and some relaxation of planning rules around that. I think David Cameron was on about it the other day. I mean, it's all relevant, isn't it? It's all relevant to the mix, but. The whole sort of planning, the whole ground mount deployment for solar. I mean, those rules have been relaxed again a little bit, and then we're getting back into that ground mount infrastructure. Yes, there's loads of rooftops, and we should prioritise the rooftops. But there's equally some great opportunities in the ground mount. There's just wasted opportunities. You've got scrubland and things that do nothing. You can be solving a nation's power problem with that kind of stuff, and it's just good to see the relaxation and the actual positive moves towards the deployment of this infrastructure on a sort of mass scale, really.
I think one thing they have missed a trick on is, and I actually genuinely think they have literally forgotten about it.
Yeah.
So beginning of the year, for all those of you who don't know who are listening in, the government set up a task force to look into reducing the VAT
Yes.
on domestic battery storage.
Retrospective.
Yeah. So anyone who's got an existing solar system from many, many years ago, if they have a battery fitted, it's 0 VAT. Well, at the moment, it's 20% VAT, isn't it? As we know.
Yes.
They were planning to bring that in. I actually genuinely think they've forgotten.
Yeah, it looks like
they've got a lot going on.
A piece of paper's falling off someone's desk
yeah,
somewhere.
It's something as silly. It could be something as silly as that, but
Yeah.
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't have been brought in. And I think it's just probably just been forgotten, and which is a shame because again, it was a very easy win.
Yeah.
For UK government to again encourage battery storage and stimulate that market because it's slow, isn't it? We know it's slow.
It's slow.
It's
because we're early days of technology, and early days of technology. It's been around a number of years now, but still, it's early days. So technology is expensive.
I think as well. We've seen it. There's an awful lot of untoward antics going on when it comes to domestic battery storage retrofit.
Yeah.
Invoices that say they've got solar system and battery, where actually
it's just
they
battery.
might have it's just a battery.
Yeah.
Or what they've done is they've just given them a solar panel.
Yep.
And
so it's part of a solar system.
Yeah, there's a few people sort of playing with the words, and it's obviously not something we've engaged in at all. But we have come across those stories of some dodgy dealings going on.
Yeah. Panel on the wall in the garage.
Yeah, yeah. Just because it says it on the invoice that there's a solar panel, it was a solar and battery system.
Yeah. But so. It's in saying that, right or wrongly, it just highlights really the sort of the silliness of that.
It is silly, yeah. But you have to do that.
If you install solar with a battery, then it's VAT exempt, as per the 2022 announcement from Rishi Sunak. There's that budget announcement, wasn't it, April last year. But if you install a battery if you've got solar installation now, and then you install a battery later, so it's actually a separate invoicing, then the battery is subject to that 20%
Yeah,
VAT.
that's crazy.
Given the cost of the deployment of infrastructure in the first place, 20% VAT on a battery could be quite a lot of money for the resident for most homeowners, because it'd be £1,000, £2,000 on top of the cost because of the VAT. It shouldn't really be there. So the fact that they've missed it, they shouldn't have missed it. Sounds like they have missed it. They think they need to redress it. There's that ongoing inquiry. It's an open inquiry. Why
it is. Hopefully it'll come in soon, and I think it'll make a massive impact, because I think there's an awful people holding off at the moment, and I think
because they're aware of that.
Yeah.
So it's slowing down deployment again.
Yeah. Well, this is it. But I think overall, we've seen some positivity come out of the autumn statement, and I think there's more that can be done. We know there can be, but I think it's a step in the right direction. And
the thing is, when you combine, again, I think I may have already touched on this, but when you combine that sort of autumn statement benefit with the your sort of tax benefits and things from certainly from a corporate standpoint, with increases in the cost of energy, with sweet spots in the cost of deployment of solar technology on a premises, and we're talking quite significant price drops on a panel, that has a massive impact on 100 kilowatts, 200 kilowatts, 300 kilowatts, half a megawatts worth of deployment when you start to add up those numbers. Because we're not talking pennies here, we're talking significant amounts of cost difference on the panels. What a perfect time to kind of just get that moving for your business. And just, I think also people have to be aware that from a corporate standpoint or a commercial standpoint, deciding to do solar today doesn't necessarily mean that the installation is going to happen tomorrow, because there are regulations that have to be fulfilled with the connections to the national grid and potentially a planning application. So there is certainly a kind of a hot to go kind of moment here. If ever there was these opportunities pop up every now and again, but there's certainly one right now, and kind of jumping on that bandwagon now is a very smart move, especially if you're feeling the pinch of the power.
Absolutely. And on that note, we'll wrap up this week's news section on Eco Talk Rewired. And
beautiful.
Join us next week for next week's news and all the action that comes from the industry we see week on week. So look forward to next week's.
Absolutely.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's Eco Talk Rewired news section. Follow, like, subscribe for more content, and come and see us next week for more exciting news from the solar, battery and eco world.